But I'm not a black bitch, and I'm not a savage. But I'm scared that you might cheat on me with the black hood bitch, and she's gonna have a fat ass, and I have a flat ass, and I don't have no titties. But your last ex, she has some perky titties, and I'm a insecure white girl with a flat chest, thinking that I want a man that used to date black women, and now I'm taking shots, cause he's all that I got. Oh yeah, he's all that I got, and I'm never gonna let him down, cause he's all American white man, and I'm his American white girl, and he's never gonna be down for the swirl again, because I had the crown and I won. Ha ha! But I'm a little insecure because he might cheat on me with a black hood woman.
I'm so tired of all of you stuck-up people talking about my idol, Taylor Swift. She's literally innocent, guys. You're obviously taking my fave too seriously and don't understand the context. You don't know Taylor like I do, okay? Even though we have never met, she's like my soulmate. Oh no, not like that. I would never, because I hate fat. I mean, I just don't think of her that way. Cause I'm married. Okay, I'm married to my all-American military husband. That's beside the point. Taylor is my best friend, my platonic soulmate. She could never be racist or a Nazi ever. She's a feminist icon. And if you say it's racist, you're reaching and are the real racist yourself.
But a lot of black women are speaking up about Hey guys, it's Momo. And guess where I put that Swiftie? I put her somewhere that she'll get the help she needs. Don't you worry. Anyways, did you guys like that? It took me a long time to do, so please say yes. Okay, just for the record, I'm not a Swiftie, nor do I hate Taylor Swift, because I can't hate her as a person. I don't know her. But I can hate a brand. I can say that I hate billionaires and their brands. So yeah, I hate Taylor's brand. Yep, you got me. And don't you dare argue with me that she isn't a brand, okay? Tell me how selling over 20 variables of an album isn't peak capitalism. Go on. Nothing? I thought so. People are most likely using Klarna to pay for these concerts and her merchandise, because there's no way in hell that the average consumer can pay for all of it. Like, her concert tickets are like over $1,000. I know she was here last year in my city, Toronto, in Canada. There's no way that people could do that. How much is all of this? Let's see, let's get all this stuff here. Holy! This is without taxes and shipping. Who can afford that? Not me. If you can, good for you, but hey, if you can, buy a sticker from my shop while you're at it, okay? If you're a Swiftie, you're welcome here. You're welcome to stay. But there's a hard pill to swallow. That Taylor Swift is not your friend. She's never been your friend and only cares about your wallet and if it funds her.
Life of a Showgirl is the kind of album that you release under an authoritarian regime. That's a comment someone left on my initial album reaction video, and let me tell you all the reasons why that's true. In our current political climate of a government shutdown, increased censorship, in my own city of Chicago, military-style ICE raids where they're zip-tying children and arresting aldermen, some will argue that The Life of a Showgirl is a necessary reprieve. This is an album that celebrates joy, and the lyrics might not be that deep, and they might not say that much, but it allows us to have fun. I agree that her lyricism has drastically decreased in quality on this album, but she's saying a lot more than nothing. In fact, what she says is actually glaring, and she's saying that she's aligning herself with MAGA and the conservative right. She does this through misogyny, anti-blackness, and an explicit honesty about how she uses her power and exploits it for profit. I personally think Taylor Swift is tone deaf and petty, so when she's coming for Travis's ex-girlfriend saying that she was only with him for fame or money, something she's totally never done before, that she doesn't realize she's throwing the weight of her billionaire status and the entire music industry at a black woman. When she says she wants to have kids and have the whole block looking like you, she's not thinking about the fact that she's hinting that she wants to surround herself with whiteness. When she says, I'm not a bad bitch, I'm not a savage, she doesn't realize she comes off sounding like Lana Del Rey's Question for the Culture. She thinks she's just talking about the way people talk on the internet, but those lyrics are heavily associated with black female musicians. Me saying that is not letting Taylor Swift off the hook. Her music does not exist in a vacuum, and on some level, she had to know that a song celebrating people who are canceled would resonate with the right. For our supposed English teacher, Taylor Swift has said nothing about the state of reading in this country, the fact that politicians are bullying school leaders into censoring books according to ideological preferences. When Taylor got engaged, Trump literally wished her well and said that she's a fantastic person. 1 year ago, he was tweeting that I hate Taylor Swift. So in the end, forget Miss Americana. She's just another billionaire protecting her self-interest and aligning herself with the conservative right.
Okay, that's it. That she's not your BFF. I know this video is kind of late, but I don't care. I need a yap. So thanks for being here. Grab a snack, crochet or draw with me, and let's vibe. Again, clarifying that I am not actually a fan of Taylor, nor have I ever been. I enjoy a handful of songs she's made, like the Romeo and Juliet song, but that's due to nostalgia. But that's a banger, okay? Can all of us join hands and be at peace just for that, okay? So you know that Taylor released her newest album, The Life of a Showgirl, like in the beginning of October. A lot of people have analyzed the crap out of it, okay? People are talking a lot. And you know what? I'm here for it because I was a Taylor Swift hater for so long.
I'm so sorry, this has to be said though. I truly believe the only reason that Taylor Swift is as famous as she is because the most average, like unspectacular, boring, victim complex, self-absorbed girls who are so fucking hung up on their middle school boyfriend for cheating on them by the bleachers when they're like pushing 40 now, they see themselves in her. They're like, oh, that's me. And if she's that talentless and mid and boring and she's that famous, she's a billionaire, then that means I can do it too. And it's very disturbing. You guys never do anything provocative. You never actually do anything meaningful. You just kind of like victimize yourself and cry about boys. The world is burning, babe. Hello?
A lot of people, Swifties included, agreed that the album feels lyrically juvenile, okay? Some Swifties say it's because she worked on it while doing the Eras tour, so it was a bit rushed and lazy. But not only that, she promoted the album saying that she wanted to combine the writing in folklore with infectious pop melodies, which I think, you know, some of the songs, I've listened to a clip of some of the songs, melodies are great, but I don't really care for the lyrics, and we'll get into that. Many people did not see folklore in there. That is for sure. A lot of critics had said that they felt as if Taylor had nothing new to say, that she's trying to act younger than her age. Mind you, I was in grade 3 when the Romeo and Juliet came out. I mean, it's called Love Story. It's called Love Story, not Romeo and Juliet. Grade 3. I have not been paying attention to her age, but I also don't care about celebrities, so... But still, she's 35 years old. I didn't think she was even over 30. Like, I didn't comprehend that her age was over 30, right? Because of the image that she portrays herself as. Like, I didn't even think she was close to 40. Anyways, I do agree that she may be trying to fit in with the new, younger, upcoming pop stars. People have mentioned Sabrina Carpenter and how maybe Taylor wanted to try and copy her cheeky sex appeal, but it fell flat. because that's not in her brand to do so. Like,
Taylor Swift's new album is many things. Unfortunately, good is not one of them. I knew the album wasn't going to be good as soon as the title was revealed, but the promo pics made me curious, so I have listened to the album in full. And now, having listened to it, the album's problem is glaringly obvious. The problem is Taylor Swift is aging out of being a white girl. Before you scroll, let me cook. When Taylor was a teenager, she wanted to be a pop star, so her parents decided to take the country route. Keep in mind, this is the 2000s. Pop music was highly sexual, it was sleazy, and then you had things like bling rap. It's not a place for a little white girl. Country music, on the other hand, loved a little white girl, and she's blonde, they'll eat her up. So her family moved from Pennsylvania to Tennessee to launch her country career. That's why for the first several years of her career, she faked a southern accent. She was trying to fit in, seem authentic. Once the pop landscape started to change the late 2000s and early 2010s, that's when she started to transition to making pop music. And now to talk about white girls. White girls don't have sex. They don't know what that is. White girls they're cute, they're adorable, they're like dolls, they're precious, they have to be protected. You remember a couple months ago whenever parents would bring their kids to Sabrina Carpenter shows and then act aghast because Sabrina Carpenter, who is a highly sexual artist, was referencing sex on stage? Of course they were, because how could a short, cute little white girl, who is also blonde, a blonde, cute little white girl, how could she possibly know what sex is? It's the assumption. Women having sexual freedom and willingly engaging in sex is highly associated with blackness. You can see this most clearly when it comes to things like Disney and Nickelodeon stars. Miley Cyrus, she was Hannah Montana, all-American girl. And what does she do whenever she wanted to shed the Disney image and say, hey, I'm not just a little girl anymore? She releases Can't Be Tamed in bangers. Ariana Grande, another cute little white girl. What does she do whenever she wants to shed the childhood image? She releases Dangerous Woman in Sweetener. They would do things like hang out with rappers. They would incorporate black music styles into their own music. So that way whenever they'd be sexual, it's like, oh, I'm not just a little white girl anymore. And over time, they would drift away from that because that wasn't who they authentically were. They were just using that as a way to escape the chains of being a white girl. Taylor Swift has never had to do that, and why would she? She makes being a white girl so fucking profitable. And the thing about Taylor Swift is that being a white girl is not just profitable for her, it's her entire brand. Because she's just like so awkward. And whenever she dances on stage, she's like bad because she's like awkward, and she loves like cats and baking and like hanging out with her fans. And she would likely continue with this forever, except for one small problem. Taylor Swift is 35 years old, and it's not like she's showing signs of aging or anything, but the brand of being a white girl is very much being a white girl. What happens in a few years whenever she's 40? What happens whenever she starts to get wrinkles? Through middle age, it's not cute anymore to be awkward. So she's aging out of being a white girl, but she doesn't have a brand or really even a sense of self outside of being a white girl. Also, low-key, this is the entire key to her relationship with Travis Kelce, which is not going to go well, but that's a story for another day. And keep in mind, the world has been moving on. An artist like Sabrina Carpenter could not exist 10 years ago. There was nowhere in the pop landscape for her. For like a cute little white girl who's that sexual, it didn't exist. And then on top of that, things have been rapidly changing politically. So people want different things from women now. And the Life of a Showgirl is a testament to Taylor's inability to rise to the occasion. Like on the song Wish List, oh, everybody wants bright lights and designer things, and they want like a fat ass. But me, then we get to the chorus, but me, I just want to have all of your kids. I want to have all of your kids, and then I want to live in a house, and I want the driveway to have a basketball hoop in it for our kids. And Taylor's personal struggle between her being her own woman and her being a cute little white girl is really embodied by the song Wood. It's called Wood because it's in reference to Travis Kelce's that. But the song isn't sexual at all, because the song isn't about sex. It's about a woman justifying the fact that she has sex. The song starts with her picking petals off of a daisy. Oh, he loves me not. Taylor portrays herself as being super insecure until Travis Kelce digmatizes her and opens up her eyes. And keep in mind, white girls cannot be sexual beings. It's not that she has sexual feelings, it's that a man came along and unlocked it in her. The curse was lifted. You see, you guys, it's not about sex at all. It's about love. His love was the key that opened my thighs. I don't have sexual feelings. I'm just a little white girl. Because this album is supposed to be her embodying her sexual energy, thus, Life of a Showgirl. But Taylor either feels unable or isn't willing or whatever it is you want it to be. Taylor doesn't actually embody it. She doesn't explore it because the embodiment of her sexual energy would come at the expense of the brand of Taylor Swift. It's seemingly not compatible, or at least she thinks, or her team thinks, that it's not compatible. So she has to be her own fully embodied grown woman in order to keep up with the times, but she also has to be like a cute little white girl in order to keep up with the brand of Taylor Swift. And in trying to do both, she successfully does nothing. I would be really curious to know if the album was even her idea, especially since so many of the songs sound like rejected tracks off of some of her old albums. Also, how are you gonna have an album called Life of a Showgirl and yet not a single fucking song on the album has a brass section? Showgirl music is big band, it's blaring horns, it's a hell of a lot of fun, and it just did not exist on this album. Not to mention, none of the songs actually have anything to do with being a showgirl, and really not even the song The Life of a Showgirl. Like, she could have just used the word follies once and I would have been satisfied. But discussing why the music isn't good sonically is not really the purpose of this video. If you have any questions or you disagree with me, please let me know. I love thinking about white women, and Taylor Swift is she's the embodiment of it, she really is.
I can agree with other people that Taylor Swift is the epitome of white feminism, and she's like the white woman. When you think of a rich blonde white woman, it's her. I see a lot of people, even people that aren't white, state that Taylor Swift didn't intentionally write or mean those racial microaggressions / undertones, and she's more oblivious to her words and actions. I don't know whether this is cope or they don't want Swifties to come for their necks, but that's bullshit, in my opinion, of course. I can agree that some people don't think how their words can be taken, whether it's based on ignorance or they're uneducated, but this doesn't apply to Taylor for many reasons, okay? 1, she's 35. Yes, her age matters a lot, especially because she's been so vocal about social and women's issues in the past. She's not doing that now. Haha, wonder why. I wonder. So, a grown woman at her age, in the spotlight on a global level with so much power and influence, should know better. Okay, let's say that Taylor Swift truly didn't know what she was doing with her lyrics, okay? I don't believe that, but hey, I can be wrong. She has a PR team, she has a whole crew behind her that works with her. Tell me that nobody peer reviewed those particular lyrics and said, hey, maybe this might come off as a microaggression against black women. Here's why. Yeah, you know why that might be? I'm assuming that all of those people that work with her are all privileged, rich, white Nepo babies of some kind. It's good practice that when you write about other people of a different culture or race, you have someone qualified, and by qualified, people that are from said culture or race, to peer review, which leads me back to she's ignorant on purpose, or she knew what she was doing. I think the latter. But hey, that's just me and many other people's opinions, okay?
I'm about to be the friend that's too woke. Opalite made me feel nasty inside. I've seen people talk about Taylor punching down on this album in reference to like the whole Charlie XCX song, but I haven't seen anybody talk about it in terms of Opalite. And I just couldn't think of anything else in listening to the song because for me personally, I became familiar with Travis Kelce as the white football player who only dates black women. And then he started dating Taylor Swift and now they're engaged, so like that's not the case. But there's a verse on the song Opalite where she's referring to one of his last relationships and I'm like, oh, maybe not doing that. Maybe not referring to a black woman that he used to date in absentia. You as the most famous pop star in the world who is also a thin, wealthy white woman. This is a verse. You couldn't understand it, why you felt alone. You were in it for real, she was in her phone, and you were just a pose. And don't we try to love, give it all we got? You finally left the table, and what a simple thought. You're starving till you're not. Well, it would be one thing if he had been only in like private relationships and people didn't know who any of his past exes were. But he literally was like on a dating show, and also he was kind of everywhere with his last ex-girlfriend, Kayla Nicole, who I think is mainly known for being Travis Kelce's girlfriend before he started dating Taylor Swift. So I was listening to that song and I was like, what's the necessity to talk about his exes and how he was like not understanding why his relationships weren't working when he was giving it all he had, when you could just talk about yourself? I don't know, like we don't exist in vacuums. Like there's everything that we do, all the interpersonal relationships that we have are impacted by the politics of the world that we live in. And I think the main problem that I have with the verse is that it sets up his ex as the problem when there could have been any other number of issues in their relationship. But the idea is like, oh, you're starving till you're not. I was the food that you needed to feed yourself and finally feel full. And she was too busy in that phone. Like she wasn't enough for you. I don't know. It's kind of like weird and gloaty. And this is where the really too woke part comes in because I started to think about the color imagery in the chorus and I was like, girl. So after she says that thing about how Travis's ex wasn't enough for him, you know, you're starving till you're not, whatever. The chorus is, and that's when I told you, it's all right. You were dancing through the lightning strikes, sleepless in the onyx night, but now the sky is opalite. Oh my lord, never made anyone like you before. You had to make your own sunshine, but now the sky is opalite. Which is this kind of weird mixed metaphor about like the darkness of the night, which was both of their like respective past relationships, and now that they've made each other the way that like people make opalite, because opalite is a man-made stone, they're in the sunrise/sun. It's a weird metaphor. But I'll just say this. The phrase "the sun never sets on the English Empire" wasn't just impactful because it brought to mind the literal fact that like the English Empire spanned the entire globe, right? The sun would literally never set on it. It was also because of the insinuation that through bringing their whiteness to these places that they were colonizing, the English Empire was bringing light to the darkness. The onyx night, if you will. I just think that is a crazy metaphor to have in a song where you are obliquely referencing the black ex-partner of your current fiance. I feel especially off-put by like a need that some people have to like almost be like, oh, I'm better for you than your ex, or I'm better than your ex, or just like insinuate, like the ghost of the ex is always in the room with us. It makes me wonder if there is like a weird sense of gratification and like joy that comes in the fact that like, oh, he spent his whole career dating all of these black women and he thought he was going to end up with one of them, but no, it's me, and I can't wait to give him some white babies. And this is not something that is like exclusive to Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce, right? This is an entire archetype of white person / white couple. And I say this as someone who has had experience dating people outside of my race and being left for a white woman. Because of that experience, I was listening to this song and the only thing that I could think about after that verse was Kayla. You were with this man for 4.5, 5 years, right? And then after you break up, not only do you have to keep seeing him because he's like one of the most famous football players in the country, but then he starts dating the most famous pop star in the world. And you have to watch everyone celebrate the fact that he has started dating the most famous pop star in the world. And there's this underlying implication that part of the reason that that relationship is good and worth celebrating is because she has saved him from black women that he was previously interested in. And this is an archetype of man, right? The white man who dates black women until he's ready to settle down and procreate, and then all of a sudden he pulls a white girlfriend out of his ass. There's a season 1 episode of Law & Order SVU about this. Like, this is a tale as old as time. But there was just something about that verse being included on the song that felt almost like being a sore winner or kind of like punching down to me. And I was like, oh, I don't like this. Which is sad because everyone that I know, like a lot of people that I know, they're like, yeah, the album sucks, but this is my favorite song on it. And I'm like, well, I'm black and traumatized, so that's not the case. I just find it kind of like sad and also embarrassing. Like, why do you have to compare yourself to this woman who's not with this man anymore? And who clearly there was something wrong in their relationship, even if it wasn't just that she was in her phone, but like, they're not together anymore for a reason. Why are you writing about her? You could have just not done that.
Yikes. I honestly think she is surrounded by people who are yes men. She wouldn't dare hire actual critics that would say no to her. Which leads me to say that Taylor needs to speak up. But you know what? She won't. Taylor never addresses things like this anyways, which is an issue in itself. Another reason why I believe she knew exactly what she was doing is because of the company she keeps and has kept. I've learned some interesting things, like how she's seen with weird alt-right individuals like Jackson Mahomes and his sister, but Jackson fully endorsed Trump, and get this, he is on probation for sexual assault and battery against a woman. Okay? Guys, why is feminist icon Taylor Swift hanging around MAGA people? As a famous and influential person, who you surround yourself matters a lot. It matters for PR and your image. For instance, Taylor being very close with Blake Lively, who is in a legal case right now. She's the godmother of her kids, I think. Yeah, I think she is. To add, her and Ryan Reynolds, okay, Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds married at a plantation. Yeah, you know, a slave plantation? Which they made the excuse that they saw it on Pinterest and regret it so much. Yeah, okay. Sure. Are you buying that? Anyways, Taylor being silent makes her an accomplice. And the fact that she hasn't said anything is dumb and hypocritical, since she has claimed to be a voice for people of abuse since she went through her own. It's just PR, babes, nothing more. Taylor replied to the criticism in a weird way. Let's watch.
The rule of show business is if it's the first week of my album release and you are saying either my name or my album title, you're helping. And art, I have a lot of respect for people's subjective opinions on art. I'm not the art police. It's like everybody is allowed to feel exactly how they want, and what our goal is as entertainers is to be a mirror. Oftentimes an album is a really, really wild way to look at yourself, right? What you're going through in your life is going to affect whether you relate to the music that I'm putting out at any given moment. And what I often love seeing my fans say is, I used to be someone who didn't like relate to Reputation, and now that I've been through some other things in my life, that's my favorite album. Or I used to be a like fearless girly, now I'm obsessed with Evermore. Like, and we're doing this thing for keeps. Like, I have such an eye on legacy when I'm making my music. I know what I made. I know I adore it. And I know that, like, on the theme of what the showgirl is
it just me? Or it looks like she got work done, like her face. Her face doesn't move right? I don't know, this looks weird. I know it's off topic, but she looks uncanny. Whoever did her filler needs to be fired immediately. Anyways, her reply seems a bit forced. It seems like she's upset. It looks like it. A bit condescending. Haha. I'm not the art police. I don't care about the criticism. I just got paid and it's trending, so I win. That's basically what she said. Moving on. I saw a lot of Swifties decide to cut ties with Taylor now because she's no longer relatable. Her skeletons are coming out of the closet and it's clear she's never really been the person they thought she was. But to note, these Swifties are recent Swifties. They're not longtime fans. I've seen some longtime fans cut ties with her, but I mean, like, it's the recent ones, especially the Swifties of color. They're just like, screw this lady. She is out of touch, and that's just the truth. She's got a big head, but honestly, I think she's been like that for a long time. Not to mention her alleged AI usage. Guys, to me, I think it is clearly AI. Okay? Tons of people have noticed it. See for yourself.
Taylor Swift is being accused of using AI in her recent promo material from her Easter egg hunt in different cities throughout the world. For example, these are not letters that I'm personally familiar with. This is the one that did it for me. This is like a treadmill or like elliptical or something, and these buttons like attempting to say stop, incline, mop, and perhaps the worst crime of all, butchering the beautiful Eras Tour piano. This is what it actually looked like, by the way. Beautifully hand-painted flowers on this gorgeous piano. AI turned it into this. Lots of people are bringing up how she talked about Donald Trump using her likeness in an AI video that was endorsing him and speaking out about it and saying that was false, and now she's using AI to create fake images instead of hiring like a CGI artist or just filming videos. She's also being accused of having banned the search for Taylor Swift AI on Twitter. I searched myself and it does the error thing, posts aren't loading, where if you search other artists, I searched like Bad Bunny AI, the searches were allowed. Do not search female artist AI though, you will see some gross stuff, seriously don't do it. She's also being accused of removing videos where people are comparing her songs to other songs that have been released. So many Swifties that have been supporting this album are speaking out against this and saying it doesn't make sense that she couldn't hire a real artist and saying that it looks like AI slop, which I agree. If I saw those videos pop up on my TikTok feed, I would literally scroll. I would scroll past because they look like AI and I don't want to see that. Tell me this doesn't look like something that one aunt would post on Facebook and think it's real. There can be very different opinions about AI, but to me, AI is not art. That is where I personally just draw the line. I don't think AI should ever be used for something that is being considered art.
It appears as though Taylor Swift is using AI to promote her latest album. Several short videos have been released that are supposed to be full of Easter eggs, and in my opinion, they were generated using AI. I have seen some people expressing hope that this is just CGI, so let me explain ways you can tell something is AI, especially in a video. One of the easiest things to look for is inconsistency. Look at the shape of this window up here and see how it does not match the light coming in through that window. The shape of the light on the floor is totally inconsistent with the shape of the window. You can also look for things that are wrong and not just because of laziness. If you were rendering these dumbbells in 3D, you wouldn't just make two different shaped ends of the dumbbell. You would simply make the first end of the dumbbell, flip it around, and turn it into the other end of the dumbbell. So this is extra work to make it look worse if it was actually CGI, and that's one of the ways you can tell it's AI. Besides the fact that this is ridiculous and no designer should make this error ever. The treadmill is also interesting. Up close, the buttons just don't make sense. Unless treadmills now have a mop feature and I'm just out of the loop. Here's another example. With this birdhouse, there's a sign underneath that says honey. This shot initially starts close and then zooms out with the birdhouse and honey sign still in the frame. Let's take a closer look. Okay, take a good look at this font. And now look at this one. Especially remember the loop on the H and this Y here. These are literally just two completely different fonts. There is no way a graphic designer would change the font halfway through. It doesn't make any sense. When CGI is badly done, it's not inconsistent. In fact, it's usually consistently bad. But even when an AI video is good, you're still going to find inconsistencies like this. There's actually another inconsistency here. The flowers here look like they're full, and then suddenly half of them are missing. This would just be one object grouped together in a CGI rendering. There's also this part where there's a jacket on a hanger next to some other stuff on hanger, and as the video goes on, this rightmost hanger just starts to disappear. It's also like rotating around. There
it goes. There she goes. Ah, it's gone. I know there's gonna be people in my comments that are like, Gooch, no, this is actually just CGI, you're wrong, or it's somehow Easter eggs, no. Frankly, I cannot be convinced that this is anything other than AI generated, which truly is a shame because it's destroying our environment and also it's stealing from artists, which I thought was important to Taylor Swift, so I don't know, maybe she'll make a statement on this. Maybe she'll throw her whole team under the bus and be like, I didn't know it was going to be AI. Hopefully this helps at least one of you spot AI videos in the future. I love you guys. Drink water. Bye.
A billionaire that is so great and cares so much, who has spoken up about AI because of weirdos posting gross AI slop with her likeness, is using AI now. Like, if you look on Twitter, Taylor Swift AI is blocked. Some people are saying it's blocked because of the weird stuff that happened. I think it was 2 years ago or a year ago. People posting NSFW AI generations of her or whatever. Yeah, that's valid, but it should be done now because she's using AI in her videos. People want to talk about it. That's just so interesting to me. It's interesting, isn't it? Rules for thee, none for me type beat. Am I right, fellas? You know, I never really got the appeal of Taylor Swift. I'm not saying she doesn't make good music, but she recycles her content over and over. She doesn't provide new substance, right? It's always,
I'm just your ordinary American girl. I'm different. That just wants to fall in love and be happy. I'm happy now. Oh no, we broke up. Oh my god, why does this keep happening?
rinse, repeat. When does it end? I never had a Taylor song speak to me ever. I also don't really look for her music, so I know a lot of people. I've seen a lot of Swifties say that they love Folklore and Evermore, which were her greatest albums to them, and you know, she has like radio bangers, which I've heard on the radio before. I don't go out looking for her music. Nothing she's done had moved or changed me. None of her music I felt like listening to again after the first time. I don't know. So now with like this new album, I'm like, okay, she tried to do something different, and it failed because it's not her usual content. She needs to stick to what she's actually good at, and don't try whatever shit she did with Life of a Showgirl again. That wasn't it. It wasn't cute either, because she used AI for her album promos and videos. I bet the songs were even written by AI too, you know? If her team can do that, use AI, even though she said, oh, I don't like AI, la la la, then what are the chances of her using AI for her songs? What if she had an AI trained off of her music and just wrote the songs for her? Because if you haven't seen that, there are tons of videos. I'm not going to put it in because of copyright reasons, but there's videos comparing the melodies of her songs on the Life of the Showgirl to different songs that have existed, like the Jackson 5, like ripping off uncredited to those songs that they just sound exactly the same. Okay, so it feels like that just might be the case. A lot of people just didn't like the new album for obvious reasons. Don't like the unnecessary digs at other women and the racial remarks. It's especially disturbing that Swifties are telling people that it's not that deep. Babes, it clearly is. Look at the lyrics and tell me she's not dragging women down. Isn't she a feminist? Why would she do that? It's also important to know that Swifties pick at her lyrics to understand her and her life. She writes music to be purposefully analyzed and reveal parts of her life and relationships, okay? She puts Easter eggs in her shit all the time. Oh, but suddenly, when black women don't like what was said, it's not that deep and you're reaching. Please. Critics are doing exactly what Swifties do, just with attention to race, gender, and privilege. It's very ignorant to tell Swifties of color, or ex-Swifties of color, I should say, not to mention the disgusting racism and that they are reaching. If Swift's lyrics are deeply meaningful, then critics are right. Not that hard to comprehend. I actually learned something from a friend of mine recently that I had never known about Taylor. She dated Harry Styles when he was barely 18, and she was a full legal adult. That's weird. But Harry is not the only man she did this to.
Charlie XCX could do something very funny. It wasn't just the one time either. So Taylor was 23, dating Connor when he was 17. The rest is alleged. He used to pick him up from high school, bought a multi-million-dollar house to stay next to his family when they were grieving his mother's suicide, crashed a family wedding uninvited, and sent a private jet to fly him over to her hometown. They were together for 3 months. How did I kidnap him, said Swift. Flew her man via private jet to visit her at home in Nashville. You can't kidnap a grown man. These are serious accusations now. It's an interesting way to spin something into a story, she says of the high school senior. Grown man and high school senior in the same sentence is kind of crazy. Allegedly. Taylor missed Connor so much she set a plane for him a few days later. He's been with her ever since, and his family doesn't know when he'll be back, a source told Page 6. Allegedly. They were inseparable and all over each other all the time. Allegedly. She said it was a fantasy come true, the source adds of the Grammy winner, whom insiders say was labeled a Kennedy groupie by Connor's cousin Ted Kennedy Jr. Allegedly.
So gross. And weird. If the roles were reversed, she'd be deeply problematic. But Swifties will not question or care. Interesting. Despite the state of the world right now, Taylor decided to make an album all about how happy she is about being a mediocre, rich, white, blonde woman, covered in Gucci, by the way, and her friends are canceled, she doesn't care, that's going to get married to the football player of her dreams, or football coach, or whatever she said. This weird, very weird, a grown woman in her almost 40 thinking about high school relationship still. Okay, girl. Oh, and he's been blowing that back up. Like, we needed to know that, girl. We know that. Okay, he's a football player. Okay.
Taylor Swift is obsessed with black women. Let's talk about it. Taylor Swift is obsessed with the fact that several of her exes have moved on to date black women, and she perceives this kind of conquering of Travis as an end or disruption of this pattern, and she's boasting about it in this album. Let's start with Opalite, which is very clearly about Kayla Nicole, Travis Kelce's ex-boyfriend whom he dated off and on from 2017 to 2022, and oh, Kayla Nicole happens to be black. The lyrics in Opalite could actually not be clearly more like targeting Kayla Nicole, right? It references a video that went viral a couple times in which Travis is literally berating Kayla for being on her phone. Meanwhile, she is an influencer, so that is weirdo behavior because she was working and it's very controlling, but it is very clear nonetheless that video is referenced in Opalite. The lyric reads, you couldn't understand it, why you felt alone, you were in it for real, she was in her phone, and you were just a pose, right? Like, Taylor could not have been more obvious and like less creative here. It's not enough to me that like Taylor is using this like crazy like worldwide medium to best a woman that like previously dated her ex. It's also the fact that like Taylor is fully aware that Kayla has received like relentless and racist harassment, oftentimes terrifying, from Swifties in reaction to the fact that she previously dated Travis. So like this is like purposefully and like blatantly violent. This song accomplishes two things at once, right? It proves the fact that Taylor Swift is obsessed with black women, and it endangers Kayla Nicole. But obviously our country is not at its best with critical thinking, so let's like analyze a different part of the song, right? So another lyric says, but I'm not a bad bitch, and this ain't savage, but I'm never gonna let you down. So in this song, Taylor positions herself as this like unique, singular white flower that is so different from what? Black culture. And once you step back and realize the song is like final boss pick me X racism, you realize that Taylor Swift is preoccupied with like this obsession with black women, in part because Travis Kelce has predominantly dated black women in the past, and she wants to find herself as different from his past and therefore better. Again, very weird, very pick me behavior. Taylor's not only preoccupied with this idea that Travis has historically dated black women, it's also the reality that several of her exes have moved on from her to black women, and that confounds and ultimately like enrages her, and she's so obsessed with the pattern and the idea that she had to talk about it in this album. Chris, give me examples. Okay, well, we have Harry Styles, who is now reportedly dating Zoe Kravitz. We have Tom Hiddleston, who has moved on to be engaged to and co-parent with a black woman whose name is Zawe Ashton. And then we have Calvin Harris, who went on to marry a black woman named Vic Hope. So it is a pattern, and Taylor Swift is clearly aware of it because she is obsessed with her exes, and all of that together is making me feel very, very strange. And ladies and gentlemen of the jury, today I'd argue that this idea, the idea that white men have historically left Taylor Swift for black women, is part of her personal mythos, right? I imagine she finds it both confounding and devastating that these men have left her, who is like the pinnacle of Western white beauty, right? She is the ideal white woman. Meanwhile, all of these white guys are leaving her for black women, and I'm sure it's really pissing her off. So when Taylor like secured Travis, she achieved the ultimate feat in her mind. She had convinced a white man to leave black women for her, and the mythos is complete. She has disrupted the pattern, she is the queen bee yet again, and this album is all about her obsession with that weird mythos and her obsession with black women. At the end of the day, you know and I know that Taylor Swift is a deeply calculated and intentional person, right? She drew up these lyrics and this like 8th grade symbolism very intentionally. It's very red-pilled and incredibly macro-aggressive. So I guess the moral of my story here is like, you Swifties, the ones who refuse to call her out on her bullshit are the same exact type of white feminist that she is. You protect bigots and you traffic in and like enjoy anti-black bullshit. And that makes you a bad person. All right, bye!
Adding on to this, I truly don't believe that their relationship is real. It may be PR, or this is what I'm really thinking. This is what I'm thinking, okay? Travis is only using her. Oh my god! Who would have thunk? He sees the perfect, palatable white woman billionaire, courts her. Suddenly, he's more famous, richer, and has more fans, and his family are benefiting from being with her so much. He benefits more than Taylor would benefit, and it's more digestible to Americans. They're both white. Everyone approves, especially Trump. Like, what does that mean? Just a year ago, he hated her. What does this mean? Wow. Imagine going against your type to be with Taylor. Taylor's beautiful. It's just, his type is clearly baddies, like gorgeous black women. Again, this is all my opinion. Haha, opinion. Haha.
Ever been a threat to the norm to societal standards. She is a right-wing politician's dream woman. She's a woman who takes on the title of girls, and has this comrade amongst women, and women believe in her, and trust in her, and blindly follow her, while quietly still sleeping with right-wing men who are literal Nazis, men who are homophobic, and all of these things that she pretends to stand for.
Back in 2024, early 2024, right after she won the Grammys for Midnights, I made that video and I said the reason why Taylor Swift always wins, the reason why Taylor Swift gets rewarded at the highest level by these institutions, it is because they love her, because she doesn't push the status quo, right? It's because she stands for absolutely nothing. She's never going to come out straight out and just be Republican, because even that would require her to take a stand. That would require her to stand for something, and she is weak. Like I'm saying, like that would require her to be brave, and the one thing on this earth, actually the two things on this earth that she's not are brave and sexy, but we'll get to sexy in a second. So yeah, like I'm like, that's why she gets rewarded. I was like, because she will do exactly what is expected of people. She will throw all women under the bus if it means that she can get ahead. And they love that. And especially they love that because she has a blind following of women who will support her and who will push and encourage her and do what she does. Like I said in that video, she is a right-wing politician's dream. She is a woman of means, a woman who has worked hard and made her own money, and therefore they don't have to worry about her using them for money, while in the same breath being submissive and obedient and quiet. They're a dream girl, woman who, no matter how much you try and cosplay her as an intellectual, very much isn't, has no ideas of her own, has no thoughts of her own. There is nothing going on in that head except for, oh my God, I love my boyfriend and I can't believe these girls are mean to me. But let's get to the sexy part now.
That's girl power. That's one of the stories that matters. The world's evilest woman because she made the mistake of being black and then both dating Taylor Swift's future boyfriend.
I made that video after Kaylin Cole was on a podcast, and she was asked directly by the podcast host about Travis Kelce and whether they were still in touch or not, and she answered the question that she was asked, right? And Swifties were having a heart attack and being like, she's such a loser, she's using him for clout, get over it, why are you still talking about your ex? And I said, okay, talking when Taylor Swift talks about her ex is fine. Like, but if Kayla does it, Kayla talks about him, it seems like she's the worst. I was like, but Taylor Swift can build an entire career off talking about her ex, and it's fine, it's girl power, and she does it, right? Like, I'm not understanding what the difference is. And the response is what people were like, Taylor has never said a single thing about her. Taylor would never talk about her. So why is she still talking about him? It's just disrespectful. Taylor doesn't even pay her any mind. Taylor doesn't give a fuck about her. Why would Taylor ever care about a girl like her? Just for her to make an album that is full with an album that is drowning in racial dog whistling, right? Where she's basically being like, I'm sorry that I'm not a black bitch. Obviously you like black bitches, and I'm sorry I'm not that. Lyrics are, I'm not a bad bitch. We love a self-aware queen, because you never were. No one ever thought of you as that, and you're never gonna be one either, no matter how much you switch up that style. Because I don't know if I was one person who noticed who, when she started going to the Chiefs games, all of a sudden she started dressing with a little bit more edge. It was a little bit more video hoe. Where'd that come from? Like, you've never been cut, so where did that come from? And this deep insecurity that you have that you are not your fiance's type. You are not the kind of girl that your fiance actually wants to be with, right? Because anyone with common sense knows that that's not a real relationship, and he's only with her because it improves his career status, because it makes him more famous, because he understands, he's smart, and he knows. Say what you want about him, but that man has a plan. He understands that football is not forever, and therefore he needs to solidify what the next chapter of his career is going to be like. And dating one of the most famous people in the world will 100% up his resume. It'll make him more valuable, and it has. We've seen the way it's improved his life over the past 2 years. He got the star on TV show. It has. It's made him a damn household name. But at the bottom of your heart, you knew that if he had a choice to be with any girl in the entire world, the girl he actually wanted to be with was Megan Thee Stallion, because he had made comments about liking Megan Thee Stallion. Megan Thee Stallion is his actual type. And then you go on the song and you say, I'm not a savage, when we all know that Megan's most famous song was called what? Savage. You've never, like, you know what I'm saying? Who else refers to them as a savage except for that? Now, Megan, someone who's done absolutely nothing to you, number one. Number two, someone who has been ridiculed and prosecuted in the media endlessly, tirelessly, right? Misogyny has gone crazy on her for being a victim of something that just happened to her that was not at all her fault. Who gets dogpiled on the internet every single time that she breathes and she sneezes the wrong way. And you never once spoke up on her behalf. You never once said a thing like, oh, leave her alone, or sending her love, nothing. And you are fully aware of the kind of fan base that you have and how clinically insane your fan base is and the way that they will go after everyone. And you still threw a cheap shot at her anyways. And mind you, she didn't do shit to you, all because she happens to be the girl that your fiance actually wants to be with. And then I'm gonna have your fans running to my comment section talking about girl power and girls are allowed to feel things and girls are allowed. Yeah, but you're not being a girl's girl because you're being mean to Taylor. She is quite literally being a racist white woman, a racist white woman, which is what she's been all along. Sorry that the rest of you are dumb and you didn't see it. That's what she's been all along. Anybody who has ever dealt with white women has met a Taylor Swift and knows how absolutely dangerous women like Taylor Swift are. And that's why I keep my foot on her neck. That's why I don't let up on her. But I was the bad guy because I just happened to have the common sense to see her for exactly who the fuck she was. And when this orchestrated relationship inevitably falls apart, you're going to find Travis Scott in the middle of the deepest strip club in Atlanta, surrounded by a bunch of big booty bad bitches, because that's where he actually wants to fucking be. Your weak ass knows that, and instead of making music that's about your insecurities or being like, you know what, since I know that, instead of trying to transform myself to be somebody he wants and I actually know he doesn't want to fucking be with me, I actually just leave. But you wouldn't do that. Why? Because you're fucking weak. Like I said, one thing in this life that you will not be is brave. And again, no new information I'm going to say here, but one thing I will want to stop, the days of us calling her an intellectual, the days of us calling her a genius, the days of us calling her some kind of literary genius, those days are done. I don't want to hear that shit again. Misinterpreting and misusing a Shakespeare play for the sake of coming off as intelligent. All those colleges who make college courses based off her, take the classes down right now. Take classes down right now. Let's get our stupid ass to join a fucking book club.
Taylor Swift secretly wrote a diss track towards her fiancé Travis in her newest album, and she is hiding that fact in plain sight. Let me break down why the song Father Figure is actually a threat towards Travis Kelce. A lot of fans think that this song is directed towards a music executive, that it's about regaining her masters back and taking control of her own music. I think that's what Taylor wants people to think. It makes sense, but only up to a certain point. Because there's this line in the song that says, "Who covered up your scandals?" Why would Taylor care to cover up the scandals of some music executive or a record label? Also, why is she referring to the record label as her protecting the family? Let's get into why I think Father Figure is actually about Travis Kelce. When I found you, you were young, wayward, lost in the cold. Pulled up to you in the Jag, turn your rags into gold. Before Taylor met Travis, he was experiencing a period of, and I quote, being damn near dead broke during his NFL rookie year. He was spending an extravagant amount of money on items like expensive sneakers and nightclub bottle service. Eventually, Travis met Taylor, and she was definitely the one who turned his rags into gold. The winding road leads to the chateau. This line is so funny to me because back in May 2024, they were paparazzi'd on vacation at Lake Como in Italy at a fancy chateau hotel having dinner. I cannot get over these photos because when it came out, everyone clocked how staged it was and how weird it would be to be having dinner on the front lawn of a hotel directly in front of the paparazzi. Like, just look at it on Google Maps. They could have sat in the back side of the hotel away from the street, but instead they arranged to set up a table and sat directly facing the front entry gate to a public street. I cannot get over that. It was staged. That's the chateau. Next line. This love is pure profit. Now, before you click away, this is not a Gaylor theorist video, okay? I made a video previous to this one about the life of a showgirl and how it relates to the Tortured Poets department. And spoiler alert, it has to do with Maddie Healy. Alright, let's keep watching. Okay, well, I mean, this line straight up says it. It's a business relationship, but I guess it makes sense coming from a guy who had his own dating reality show. I showed you all the tricks of the trade. All I ask for is your loyalty, my dear protege. Taylor showed him all the tricks in the industry on how to become successful and famous, and in return, she asked that he play along with being part of America's favorite couple. They'll know your name in the streets. Leave it to me. I protect the family. This line, I protect the family, repeats throughout the whole song, even when Taylor ends up being the father figure at the end. If this song is about a record label, whose family is she protecting? I don't think she would care that much about a company unless it was her own business with her own reputation tied to it. Labels don't work like that. Well, the family is actually the entire Kelce family. The Kelces have certainly become a lot richer and more famous since involving themselves with Taylor. Travis's brother Jason is getting a lot more business deals and sponsorships, and his podcast is huge. Travis's mom, Donna, is getting brand endorsements and all of these new media ventures, and honestly weird because who gives a shit about Donna Kelce? My point is that they're pretty much like the Kardashians at this point. But then it goes, I saw change in you, my dear boy. They don't make loyalty like they used to. Uh-oh, what's happening? Your thoughtless ambition sparked the ignition on foolish decisions which led to misguided visions that to fulfill your dreams, you had to get rid of me. If this song was really about Scott Borchetta, the head of the record label, why would he want to get rid of her to fulfill his ambitions? Wasn't it Taylor that wanted to get rid of him to gain independence and control of her music? I think at some point Travis probably thought that he didn't need Taylor anymore to be famous. I think that this is referring to the leaked PR document last year that Travis and Taylor were going to break up. Travis's PR firm, Full Scope, is the same PR firm that is owned by a guy called Jack Ketzian, who has admitted in the past to making up PR relationships to boost a lesser-known celebrity's profile. In fact, he co-authored a whole novel on this tactic. Pia Malihi, who is Travis's main PR rep, apparently called up someone at the Daily Mail when this PR document came out, and she screamed at a writer saying, and I quote, "We have been trying to keep stories that this relationship is fake out of the media for a year now, and now this." And then she went on to threaten the Daily Mail that they needed to toe the line, otherwise they would lose some exclusive access to them. So yeah, personally, I think this document was real, and that Travis's team, who is far less experienced than Taylor's, freaked out over it and called it fake, that the relationship was planned to end. But it's not ending, unless Taylor allows it. Whose portrait's on the mantle? Well, Taylor's now engaged to Travis. She is integrated into the Kelsey family photos. She basically made them everything that they are today. They owe it all to her. Who covered up your scandals? May I present Travis's controversial old tweets that, for some reason, never really took off and got him scrutinized and canceled the same way that Maddie Healy did. Also, anytime Travis or Jason are caught doing something no good, like yelling homophobic slurs or going out clubbing with known cheaters, Travis immediately has to jump on a plane to attend the Eras Tour so that the focus is on, "Oh my god, did you hear that Travis was at the Eras Tour last night? He's such a supportive boyfriend, how cute," instead of whatever the controversy was. Mistake my kindness for weakness and find your card canceled. Taylor knows how much Travis has profited from her. If he steps out of line and breaks the PR image, he will lose all access to money and opportunities that Taylor has given him. I was your father figure. You pulled the wrong trigger. This empire belongs to me. Taylor is in charge, not him. The whole relationship is meticulously planned and arranged by Taylor. Please check out my other video of why I think the promotion for the Life of the Showgirl is all a show. The Torture Post department was the last time we saw the real Taylor, and all she wanted was just to date Maddie Healy in peace. This stuff now with Travis and Taylor, I think they get along on a day-to-day basis. They're probably good buddies, good friends with benefits. All this to say that personally, I've always felt that Travis and Taylor had a very odd transactional relationship. This song is a threat for Travis that if he steps out of line, he will be tossed to the wolves like a bad Taylor ex. So yeah, something's up. Now the question is Maddie Healy aware of any of this? Personally, I think he is, and Taylor and him are communicating on some level. And Denise Welch, who is Maddie's mom, is super messy and has been posting Easter eggs for Showgirl a year in advance. But Maddie is a wishy-washy guy, so we'll just have to wait and see. I feel like Taylor's got something up her sleeve, and the truth will eventually come out.
So, adding to that, yeah, get Taylor back to English class. Tell me why she keeps doing this. Romeo and Juliet, The Scarlet Letter, and now Ophelia. Girl, you're twisting those stories and their meanings into something that isn't. Go back to English class and study Hamlet. The fate of Ophelia wasn't about being sad or lonely. It was about her world falling apart because her lover killed her father, her family turned on her, and the person she was raised to love ended up neglecting and breaking her completely. She didn't die because she was fragile. She died because she was destroyed by everyone around her. Died because of the crushing patriarchal control, grief, and emotional fallout of violence. She was a victim. Taylor keeps romanticizing things that shouldn't be. Leave old lit alone. Leave it alone, bro. Her fans eat this up because the super mega ones probably didn't read or study Hamlet or any old literature. The last thing I want to talk about before I let you go is the damn necklace that Taylor released. This one. Now this sparked a lot of controversy. At first, I was a bit skeptical, but I sat and listened to some people talk about it. Mainly Jewish people, because that's the opinion that actually matters. They say it's not offensive, but mainly I've been seeing that it is, I too think it is. However, I'll give Taylor the benefit of the doubt on this one, only partially, and that's due to this picture. Yeah. This is real and it's not AI. So yeah, I'm only like 25% giving her the benefit of the doubt. The rest, I believe it was on purpose. I believe it's a dog whistle, but I'm down to being wrong. So now, I'm at a crossroads. Her designer could have done it purposefully and she didn't know. That's also, a possibility. But then I think about the album and the digs she did to other women, and Travis's ex-girlfriend who's black, and all the racism that she's faced ever since Taylor and Kelsey have been dating. Taylor did nothing to stop that, even though she has the power to. And the racism that black women have faced for speaking up about how they feel about Taylor's lyrics and the digs at black women in the album, about her saying that she's not a savage like Travis's ex-girlfriends or the Onyx Night thing. And so when I'm thinking about it, I'm like, I just don't trust Taylor. I don't trust her. I just truly don't trust her. And then there's that freaking picture this stupid picture, okay? It's weird. It's very strange. And then there's the company that she keeps. I don't know. Back to the necklace. It has all these lightning bolts, right? In every ad or product produced by a large company, in this case, the Taylor Swift brand. There's a huge group of people analyzing every single facet before production, okay? It doesn't seem like a mistake. I've seen people say that symmetry in jewelry matters a lot. The bolts are aligned symmetrically, but aren't mirrored. It's purposefully aligned, but most designers would flip every piece on the right, mirror the left, or flip each bolt in a sequence. There's too many variables that don't add up. And like many people have reiterated, dog whistles are meant to have plausible deniability. I don't know, Taylor. I'm glad it was pulled, but still. How did so many people okay this? How did Taylor? Let's not infantilize her. She's a grown woman that knows about politics. She knows very well about politics. So why are we excusing her or saying that she doesn't know better? She's a grown-ass woman, almost 40. Please. And I think I'm done with Miss Taylor Swift now. I really hope that you learned something from this video. I just want to say, decenter celebrities, decenter brands. They don't care about you. Thanks so much for watching my video. I hope you enjoyed my rant as well. Have a lovely day. Before I go, one last video as a food for thought kind of thing.
I'm a TV writer and I have kind of a crazy theory about how this organization is using these 4 people and also potentially this company in its conspiracy with the GOVT to fuel white nationalism. I'm going to pitch it to you as if it's a TV show that I'm creating. Let's strap in. Let's start with the foundational building blocks of this narrative. Building block number 1. The Shield is comprised of 70% black players, 100% white team owners, and about 70% white viewers. Building block number 2. The sport and the Shield are not just entertainment. This is a military pageant. It is a hyper-patriotic reality show. Football is America. It is Americana. That association is very much on purpose. Building block number 3. There is always a face of the Shield. I'm not talking about the best player in the game. I'm talking about the establishment golden boy, the main endorsements guy. Until 2023, it was him. And before that, it was them. All white, all QBs. Those are the building blocks of the world of this story. Now let's talk about this guy. In 2016, he uses his platform to protest this. And because the Shield is so closely associated with patriotism and by extension the military, it spins the protest as anti-American. Eventually the protesting player gets released, doesn't get re-signed, but by that point he has aligned himself with this guy. And it seems like this guy is going to have his back. Until 2019, when that guy makes a deal with this guy, who is besties with this guy. The Black Moguls company is now going to be responsible for providing all entertainment for the largest, most watched show in the country. The deal also includes a way less exciting social justice initiative that the Black Moguls company will also be overseeing, and we can assume that that is essentially to pacify the Black audience. The shows were a huge success and majorly upstaged the social justice initiative. Meanwhile, the player who started the protest completely fades into obscurity and doesn't get to come back to the league. And then it's sort of ironic when the next year the Shield starts painting this on all of its fields. Essentially, it torpedoed the protest, blackballed the person who started it, sent a message to all the other players not to do the same thing, and then co-opted the message. Clock that as an MO. So now let's fast forward to February 2023 when this guy announces his retirement for good this time. He has been the face of the league for years, and he represents a foolproof archetype for the Shield. Good-looking white player plus famous white wife equals massive brand value.
Now that he's officially retiring, the Golden Boy role will be empty, and the Shield is going to have to fill it as soon as possible. The annual championship game is a few days later, and it's the first time in Shield history that two brothers have faced off against each other. This is a big deal to hyping up the game, and also it boosts both brothers' public profiles. Now at this point, this guy is widely agreed to be the best player in the game, and he's a QB, so he seems like the perfect fit for the Golden Boy, but one problem, he is not white. If you're not familiar with the one drop rule, look it up. So at this point, we all know what happens. The Shield chooses to go with the white player who isn't a QB rather than the mixed race one who is. It becomes clear that he's the face of the league when he starts publicly courting the most famous white woman in the world, and it actually works. And it's at this point that his cultural relevance seems just completely astroturfed. Either way, it doesn't really matter though, because the partnership is super lucrative from the beginning. She is going back and forth between tour stops and stadiums to watch him play, which is creating countless viral moments and cultural relevance for her. He makes $30 million in endorsement deals just in the first year, and the Shield makes $1 billion in added brand value from this romance. Okay, so then in March 2024, she releases this album, which feels suspiciously patriotic, especially given the political climate at the time, but she presents it as an important examination of Black musical history and also an opportunity to reclaim Black space in country music, and her fans, by and large, support. So then during the tour, the internet is flooded with images of her fans, who are mostly Black people, wearing Americana looks, American flags, to the music venues, which are by and large football stadiums. That December, she gets a whole halftime show of her own, which has its own marketing campaign and streams live. Y'all, I'm so close to putting this all together, I promise. Thank you for sticking with me. Okay, so now it's August 2025. This brand releases an ad campaign starring an actress, and it is clearly eugenicist and white supremacist propaganda. A couple weeks later, these two announce their engagement, which also happens to coincide with the promotion of a few of their projects, including his collaboration with the aforementioned clothing brand, which had the eugenicist and white supremacist ad. Here's the logo for the brand. Shortly thereafter, she announces her partnership with this company, which for the past almost year has been widely boycotted for ditching DEI practices. So now he's publicly aligned with the company that's making white supremacist ads, and she is publicly aligned with the company that's erasing diversity. And in September 2025, we get the pictures of these two sitting with these two at the gala event, which raises major questions about King and Queen Bee's politics and loyalties. And last week, his granddaughter releases her new line of merch. This is the logo. Does that look familiar? Because that is also his exact logo from his partnership with the white supremacist eugenicist ad company. So she is supposedly offered the big 2026 mid-game show. She supposedly turns it down, and it ends up being this guy. Now, something I want you to consider is who is in charge of the entertainment for the show, and whether or not it feels likely that that person would have approached this artist. So now this guy is going to do the show, which seems like a big FU to white America because of everything that's been going on with immigration this year. But I actually think it could be darker than that when you remember the Shield's proven track record of silencing protest and then co-opting it. This is an artist who just a few months ago was very publicly protesting the United States by refusing to bring any of his tour stops here. A final piece of the puzzle, she releases this album last week. It is filled with racial dog whistles and tradwife/conservative propaganda. Okay, so that's the backstory, world, and characters of our show. Let's get into the season 1 story. So one of the most important things that I need to establish for the audience is how intertwined the Shield is with the government. The Shield is essentially the government's main propaganda arm. And because of that, we'll see how important it is for the Shield to maintain a white face, because the sport is America. When you think of American people, they want you to think of white people. When you think of America, they want you to think of white America. So when season 1 starts, the Shield is already aligned with the Black mogul, who publicly identifies as being down with the struggle, but is really all about the bottom line. They offer him a deal, exclusive rights to produce the largest live show in the world, as long as he uses his street cred essentially to get seemingly radical artists to perform the mid-game show. Because these artists are guaranteed to inflame the white audience, it will make the audience of color feel like they have power within the league. Meanwhile, the Shield uses its relationship with the Black mogul to co-opt his own wife. In my series, they incentivize her to release her All-American Americana album by offering her a deal on venue costs, because they're all football stadiums, essentially using her to manufacture Black consent for patriotic imagery and, by extension, patriotism itself. Main story arc of the season is the Shield trying to identify and then install a new Prince Golden Boy, face of the league, someone who represents their push towards the alt-right. We'll see everything that goes into not only making that decision, but also brokering the merger between the white football player and white America's sweetheart singer, and how the Shield incentivizes both of them to lean into the white nationalism of it all with their extracurricular projects and brand deals and partnerships. I also think it's going to be really interesting to see the arcs of the two female celebrities who, because they're now aligned with the Shield, are essentially silenced from saying anything anti-war or really political at all. But then we're also, on the flip side of that, going to see how, because they're both billionaires, they're essentially evil irrespective of race, because all they care about at the end of the day is enriching themselves. So season 1 is really about showing how the Shield is like a secret branch of the government, and about the lengths the Shield is willing to go to manufacture its fans' consent to maintain a pro-war, pro-patriarchal, pro-white supremacist status quo.